Hi there, Ron here of Variable Play, and welcome to another Open Game Night.
Open game
Open,
night.
hey
Hey
everyone.
everyone,
So Denmark is actually
in
he's
the background.
currently yeah. So uh, hey everyone. Today we'll be talking about terminologies, but in the meantime, while Denmark is actually in the background spamming the interwebs. He would be dropping in because he has another appointment, but he will be dropping in a bit to talk about the news. But before we
Oh,
talk about the
okay.
news,
Yeah. So let's introduce ourselves.
I am Ron.
I am Javi.
And I am Keo. Hi.
Yes. Yes. Do not adjust your screens. If there's not more than 9 windows this time, there's just three.
just the three of us.
It's just us, which means that the other 6 people who are usually here better be watching.
No one's
Yeah.
watching. There.
It's all right. It's all right.
All
So,
right.
how is everyone doing? How's your week going? What games have
Uh,
you been playing?
this
Good
week could
question.
be better, but I've just been filling it up with so much Slay the Spire.
Ah,
I'm just climbing
Mm,
up the ascension track.
all right. How
Excellent.
about you, Kia?
Me, I've been playing the one that you posted. The what do you call that? Cell. Dead Cells.
Ah,
Oh,
Dead
lovely.
Cells.
nice.
Yeah, with
Lovely game.
the whole shebang.
I
All
cannot
the
play it
DLC.
though. I mean, I bought it because I wanted to support the developers. I kind of mentioned it before. It's the same guys I think who also did um the North something game that I
Northgard.
Northgard.
Northgard. So
Yeah, there you
I
go.
think
Okay.
it's the same team, but they're just
Yeah,
really
but
brilliant.
Dead Cells has been out for a while. It's like
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
a Castlevania type, and I've always been interested to try it out.
Yeah, the system is it's kind of like those roguelikes,
Yeah.
road lights, where you go through the whole hey Danlin, go through the
Hey.
whole dungeon as far as you can. The dungeon is
Yeah.
procedurally generated, um, but it does have some sort of storyline. It's still sort of bringing you to, but whenever you uh, your character dies, you get reborn as a new set of cells. But those cells kind of remember stuff
Yeah.
and traits and
That's the
things.
usual roguelike mechanism
Yeah.
there. It's
Yep.
like die, repeat, and the power of repetition.
Yes. But
But with
this
a few
one,
added stuff, right?
yeah, and just the animation and the controls. I'm just too old
Another
to
game
be able
came
to
to
play it,
mind.
but I love it.
I totally forgot that. I did recently try and finish Transistor. If either of
Mm,
Hey,
you
yeah,
have
yeah,
gotten
yeah.
that, oh, dude,
I
the soundtrack, the
love the
animation,
soundtrack.
everything is
And
excellent.
the if I'm not mistaken, did it also have like a good voiceover, kind of like that?
Yeah,
The
the voice.
same. It's the same generation with that
The little
other,
kid.
the little
Um,
kid. What's that name? We're too
the other
old.
game, the first game.
The other
Oh
game.
well, no,
The
the
game
first one is
before.
Bastion. Yeah,
Bastion.
Bastion.
There
Bastion.
you go.
Yes,
There
that's
you
Bastion.
the
go.
There you
first
Thank
go.
you.
game.
Why are we even
Gonna.
talking? We don't even remember the names.
I'm
Okay,
old.
we old. Pardon us. But anyway, yeah. Go ahead with Transistor.
No. So I mean, I got to try it out. Thanks to my friend Mikey, and I kind of ran through it for a few days. That I think is very interesting, and I think you'll especially like it because of all the whole programming
Yes.
aspect
Yeah.
at the back of
Yeah.
the fighting system, which is
Yep.
very
Yep.
good. Like every skill you earn in the game can be used as an attack, as a buff, or as a static effect.
Yeah. All right. So while we have bought enough time, let us segue forcibly. to the
What?
news.
Oh, the news. Well,
Oh
okay.
no, the news.
Just drag it
The
in there.
news.
And the one who just quickly dropped by and will be also exiting the stream, but I'm glad that he was able to make a little bit of time for us with this current schedule this week. Hey, it's Denmark.
Hey
Hey.
everybody!
Hey, Denmark.
Wow, and he gets this whole banner and everything.
Of
Yes.
course, it's the news. Oh my
News.
gosh! Hey, of course I wouldn't miss the news for the world because I did research. That's why I need to tell. So I have to share this with the world. All right, so I have a couple of news here, and let's start off with toys. Well, makers of toys,
Okay.
Funko Pop.
Those are not toys, sir. They are
They're
collectibles.
collectible. Oh, wait.
Collectible
They're
toys.
That
dolls,
means
aren't they?
that.
Okay, Funko then, not Pop. Funko just said that they will be releasing, count it, gentlemen, 40 new games this year. 40.
Are they
The
all
year's about to-
Funkoverse? 40 versions of Funkoverse.
The year's
I was
like
gonna say that.
halfway.
I
Like
have
after
no
the
idea how they're
Golden
gonna do
Girls,
it.
are they going to do like Small
I-
Wonder
uh,
Funko?
I think they started already with what's that ride in Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion. I think it's produced by Funko.
Okay.
So
okay,
they have it
okay.
out
So,
right
so
now.
it's
Haunted
not
Mansion, like the
necessarily like,
movie with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah. They're out right now. They have that one. So we we are. I want to see what those 40 games are. Maybe they're gonna be producing it, or
okay.
I
I
don't
can
know.
I,
Well-
I can probably name 40 sitcoms. And there will soon be like, what Harry Potter versus Seinfeld.
Who was the
Or
one who made?
Friends reunion.
Yeah.
Isn't that
Who's the
happening
one
right
who
now?
made? Who is the one who made? See, that's why. This is the reason why. Jaws, Back to the Future, for Horrified. What's the name of that author? Designer. I think they're the ones being sponsored by Funko.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
being
Makes
produced
sense.
by
I
them.
mean, Jaws is a good game, and even the Funko system, the Funko sort of battle system is actually pretty okay, pretty good too. So
Yep.
How come I have a
I
feeling
think-
that 10 of those 40 will be Marvel?
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. Everything's Marvel
Sure.
right now.
You
Even
know-
your shirt is Marvel right now.
Yes.
not sponsored, but the canon.
Sponsored.
What they should try tapping into, which I think I would appreciate, is if they did like a Mortal Kombat set. I would love a like Funko Scorpion and a Funko Sub-Zero.
Hey,
That's a good idea.
that's a great idea. All right. Okay, moving on. Isle of Cats is on Kickstarter right now, and they have Kittens and Beast and Boat Pack as
Expansions. I thought
their
like are they making the game
expansions.
again?
Yeah, but you can buy the game if you don't have Isle of Cats. I think
Right.
you can buy it also. So Kittens and Beasts, new cats, new beasts for your Tetriomino goodness. And Boat Pack, I think it's gonna be a different type of ship. I haven't seen it yet, but maybe it's a new puzzle that you have to figure out.
Maybe it's
Puzzle.
maybe it's little
Wait,
boats
You gotta clarify.
that
I mean,
are
Smaller
around your
boats.
is that? I mean,
think
we
more.
gotta.
I think it's a puzzle. I mean,
As long as it has rules.
Puzzle map. It's
you
a puzzle
can't
map.
really count it
Puzzle
as a
map,
game.
right,
So what
and it's a
is it
board
with the
game.
Board game news, sir.
I'm sorry.
Explain
it's the board game.
We gotta.
Eh.
Do we have to report this or something?
No, you don't.
I mean, you're reporting it at the moment.
but this is about board games, so
You're right. Yes.
Disappointing some people.
Okay.
don't worry about it. All right, on to crossovers with board games and handheld. Is this handheld? Yeah, Nintendo Switch. Is it handheld? It is, right?
Yes, it is. Well,
Yep.
Alright.
It's initially meant to be portable, but it can be played like a console.
Oink Games are now they're trying to release all the Oink games into
Oh.
the Nintendo Switch.
Ooh.
Wow.
So if you
Deep
guys
Sea
are
Adventure.
Deep Sea
Yeah.
Adventure, Bandido, Insider, Fake Artist Goes to New
Wow.
York, Nine Tiles Panic, those games. So
That's
Sure.
good. Good for them.
they're
In
trying
one
to.
package?
No, I don't think so. I think it's per game.
Yeah, probably
That's what
on
they're
a
Ah.
per
trying to
game
do.
download.
Hindi daw cute tong cats.
Mas cute yung cats, right?
Sana. Sana daw.
Oh, oh, right. They don't look a little bit more alien than the original ones, especially the Oshaks. All right, so I got that one. I have three more. Renegade Games will be releasing Transformers: The Deck Building Game.
Yes.
I read about that.
Yes.
But
And
the
it's a
question
co-op.
is, can you
You got
transform your
it's a
deck?
co-op.
Is
It's
it
a
a
co-op.
co-op?
I think it's a co-op.
Ooh, if you get
Ooh.
to play like all like parts of the Devastator and like share like or can
Four
combine your cards
player
together.
Devastator decks. Wow, that'll be nice. Imagine the
Oh.
combos.
Well, that's something that we're gonna see soon. But knowing Renegade, they have a good pedigree of games. They're really gonna make this good, I'm sure. So if you're a fan of
It's
Yeah.
gonna be
Transformers,
Clank but Transformer theme. Every time you transform, you make
So
noise.
it's it can be played competitively or co-op because it's designed that you guys are all playing as Autobots. You have your Autobot.
boo,
Uh,
can't be Decepticons.
just for this set, they're probably gonna milk it and make
Yeah.
another
If
one,
you're not
and
if
that's
you're
why
not
they
gonna
made
get
it
to
There's
play as
there's
Autobots
always a
Starscream,
now.
what's
villains
the point?
box.
Yeah, so that
Starscream.
later, yeah, exactly, and then GoBots after.
Go
What? Robots? Robots?
the cheap rip-off.
Where you just the one where you just release the wheel and then you hold it
You
like that.
say rip off, but there are arguments to which one was made first.
Dibs
And
on
which one actually
Leader
transforms
one,
more
leader one.
realistically, right? Like
Oh,
it.
you're the F-15. Dinobots.
Starscream.
Hey!
Yeah, dude, Dinobots would be awesome, man. Grimlock as a like a deck builder would be interesting.
Ah, yes.
Let
So
me do
anyway,
a quick.
you basically get your Autobot, and you do have your robot form and your vehicle form, and then you're exploring this sort of grid for energon
A deck
cubes.
builder doing
It is
that.
a deck builder.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
okay, interesting.
That's
I
the
will
idea.
definitely give it a try.
It I just wish that it's not gonna be like the DC type deck builder where
Well, this is from Renegade,
yeah,
That's
so
true.
you're kind of safe with the thematics of the framework that they've built.
because the
Now,
thematics
I mean, he's worried about giving abilities to certain
right
transformers that
that don't really
others should have. Like, okay, only Decepticons can fly.
Yes,
By
because
how it started, that all of the
that's what I do
Autobots
know
were
of the
literally
history. But yes,
automobiles. But okay, future episodes and whatnot change that. But imagine playing a game that broke all those rules.
yeah, this one. No, yeah, a little bit. Court of the Dead is heavy with Cthulhu Death May Die. Shouldn't have
Dude,
done
just
that.
hand it over. Don't worry, I got lots of space.
yeah, yung Court of the Dead, bro, di ba? Tsaka yung isa pa dyan na yung sa Splendor din, okay din. Paki-ship na lang.
If you
All
ever
right.
if you ever really want someone to actually learn how to play Cthulhu Death May Die, you can just send it over.
I'll see. All right. For those people who just joined in, just a quick run through. Funko will be making 40 new games this year. Isle of Cats is on Kickstarter with new expansions. Oink Games is gonna be released in Nintendo Switch, and Renegade Games will be doing Transformers deck building game. Second to the last, my used to be favorite, Stone Mayor.
Wow, may qualifier.
Okay.
Grabe.
There's-
Favorite.
Grabe
Wow.
siya.
There's
Yeah.
news, huh? Okay.
Critical
Yes,
hit, sir.
Stone Meyer Games has this wait, I forgot. Is this 20 days? 20-day price guarantee. I think. Yeah, I think it's a 20-day price guarantee where they are saying that if you can buy what they're selling cheaper from their store, they're gonna reimburse you.
Ah, okay. So if you
That's
can
what they're
find a
doing.
better deal, they're willing to
Yeah.
match it. Okay.
So that's what they're doing. So I think they're trying to get people to buy directly at their
It's a good
store.
idea.
So that's what
Hmm.
they're doing.
It's a
What
good
do you
idea
guys think
because
about it?
they are big and they have the reach, but it's like also basically sort of forgetting everybody that kind of helped along the way to sort of bring up the brand. And I don't know, I'm
Hey,
not sure.
people listen to the news. Look at that. I don't know what this is pertaining to, but I bet that's the Transformers.
Yes, probably.
I actually, okay, I'll throw in just a little bit of news for
Sure,
anyone that
sure.
might
Before
be
I
interested.
throw in my last one.
Right. So, Magic the Gathering news for anyone that is interested. Their next upcoming set, Modern Horizons 2. Spoilers have already started for it. So, based on what has been published now, they already have 129 out of the 303 cards revealed. So, I think that it is still scheduled to roll out within the month of June. And at the end of June, starting June 25th, the next set will begin spoilers, which is D&D Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. So
Yes.
Magic the Gathering and D&D are joining forces, and well,
Which
they're
is
both under
practically the
Wizards of the
same
Coast.
thing.
Exactly. No, but in terms of like the universe,
They're not
with
in the same universe.
D&D has only started adopting planes of magic recently. Like Ravnica exists already. I believe they also got like the Innistrad vampire set already in Ixalan, but they've only recently started bringing in the planes or worlds of magic into
D&D.
D&D. And now this is going to be the first time that Magic is going to have D&D characters, monsters, and locations on cards. So they've
Yep.
already started revealing, and there are like 13 cards, but like major characters like Drizzt is in card form now, and it's technically immortalized in a game that doesn't seem to be going anywhere, man. It's like
No.
what 30 years strong now.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I just saw the with the latest set, like some of the favorite mechanics. I always love the madness mechanic, where when you discard the card, you get to exile and cast it for its lower cost. Like madness. Mga gusto ko na lang. Where's is Wild Mongrel in circulation?
Yeah,
If
well, it,
so,
it, it still exists, but it's used for very specific decks,
okay.
and they're kind of, I don't know, one upping themselves again. That they keep making very strange and unique cards. That for the case of anyone that might be familiar with Magic, the very first enchantment land now exists.
Yeah.
They have produced a legendary creature whose name is so long that it takes up the full text box, so there is no casting cost for it.
What? All right. All right.
All right, all right.
All right. We're
Going
going to
back.
see that soon. I think the one that they were saying about Grabe was the Witcher KS, which is also going live.
Oh, dude,
Oh, the new one.
it looks really good.
Yeah.
I got to watch the playthrough from our friends and prior guests, and I want it. I want it. I want it. I want the Witcher game.
All
Yeah,
right.
it looks good.
And lastly, for the news, on July 30 to August 1, you guys have any idea what's going to happen?
July 30 to August 1. That's two
Yeah.
Gen Con.
days.
Nah, close enough. But it's the first con for this year. It's the UK Games Expo. And they're going to be running it from July 30 to August 1. And you know how they're going to do it?
How?
Daily. They're going to have COVID tests daily. I have no idea how much that would cost. I have no idea how
It
that's
doesn't
going to get
cost
pulled
as
out.
much
Much,
now
yeah.
because of
But
how effective the self test ones are.
But
It
how
doesn't
many
cost as much.
people You think people will be flocking into
Maybe
TKS
not
Expo?
flocking, but at least some people will go.
So there is hope
Yeah.
that there
The
might
Yeah,
bigger
be.
issue would be the people
ter-
that don't want to
yeah, in
test.
terms of
That'll be
attendance, it
more.
may not break numbers, but I think
Hey,
that
Joseph.
there's a lot of places that people have just really needed something like this. So, as long as they stay safe and have all of their precautions in place, um, I think that the daily testing might be a good idea because you have no
And it,
idea what people will be going home to or exposing
Mhm.
themselves outside of the venue. So,
I'm
it's good that they
actually
have that kind of foresight.
I'm actually excited to see how they're gonna be doing this because this is the first one, and everything else that will come after this will be the benchmark, I think, or this is
yeah.
how they're gonna. From
The
this
the
point
new
on, that's how they're
the
gonna
new
fix it.
swab tests that are not the like the super heavy duty ones, the ones that are just checking
Like the
your
antigen tests.
yeah, those
Yeah,
are
it's
a
like
little
15
bit
minutes.
yeah. It's
Per
within 30
person, huh?
minutes and then like it's more affordable than the um the lab one
You
where
never know.
the
They
True.
might make a thing of it that, if you complete all of the tests, you get to take home a game or something.
Hey, that would
ooh,
be nice.
yeah, yeah,
All
sure.
right,
You
that's
get a
all I
food
have.
stamp.
That's all I
Okay.
have for this week.
Well, man, good job, man. It's
Thank you,
interesting.
Hey,
Denmark.
thank
All
you.
right, see you soon,
See
everybody.
you.
Yes, we
Bye
don't
I know
have this
you
bye.
have to go back to
so
your
your
appointments, but
artista lifestyle. Thank you
yeah.
for remembering
So
us little
thank you for
people.
dropping by. I know you have another schedule.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Get some
Bye.
rest,
Okay,
Enjoy,
Denmark.
bro.
enjoy.
All
Yeah,
right.
man. All right, now we talk about
Alrighty.
Wow.
Denmark while he's not here now.
He's
Transformers.
still kind of there. Like you can see him. You
Still
can see
lurking
him
around.
in the. He hasn't exited.
I wonder when
Anyway,
Anyways,
they'll make a He-Man deck builder.
oh, you know what? That would be awesome. Like how they have those double-faced cards that you can have Battle Cat and
Oh yeah, and
regular,
cringe.
and then Q9 can turn back to Prince Adam.
but how will you implement that guy that has like multiple facial expressions?
Oh, okay, yeah, that might require something else, but
He's got two cards.
yeah,
You got two cards.
maybe because
Or
the
his face
current
is a
Transformer
smaller
game.
card that you put in
Oh,
the middle
yeah,
of
you put it
his
on top.
yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome.
No, but the
Yes.
He-Man.
current Transformer game that exists, the Transformer card game right now, does have
Yes.
double faced cards. When you
Yes, it does.
transform, you flip them over.
And it even has like the big mech ones, not the
Yes,
Mm,
mechs, the
Devastator. Yeah,
combinators,
yeah.
where it's multiple cards, and you also have to like flip all of them to basically transform to
yeah. If you miss one, you
Autobots.
can't build that big guy.
But I like Autobots transform more than Autobots rollout. Like rollout just seems pretentious. I never liked it.
Not all Autobots have wheels.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right? Like it's assuming too much.
Yes.
Anyway.
Shumi, you have wheels. No, I have wings.
You
Why? Is that a
have
problem with that?
problems with such strange things.
Alrighty. So thank you, Denmark, for
I
the
would just
news.
rather like to point out the unfair fight of planes against cars. Like, stop them. How?
Yeah, but because in the old days, you know, Optimus Prime would say Autobots transform because
Yeah.
that's what
Okay.
they gotta do, not roll out. But
Isn't it transform and roll out? I don't
Yes,
know. I
exactly.
forget.
He did both. He would
He
tell
did
them
both.
to turn the vehicles because a walking robot
Autobots.
apparently is slower than its car version.
Yeah, or at least it strains more of their means.
Denmark votes for rollout.
Okay,
All right.
so we are back with terminologies. We did
Terminology.
this a
Another
few
set of words for you to learn.
because there's just too many. To be honest, there are so
Yeah.
many board gaming terms, and I think that it for the ones we know that the ones who are normally already following uh, are some of you are probably familiar, but it would be great to sort of share this knowledge also to more people. That and especially for newbies, you can also kind of share like
Yeah.
that moment where you don't understand what they're talking about. So, Keo, do you want to start?
All right, cool. Sure, why not? Letter A. No, just kidding.
We're doing it by letter again.
Again. Okay, here's a terminology that most math type games usually might have, or it's usually does have. It's called the orthogonally adjacent. Okay?
There's a
I'll
few
say
Say it
it.
terms
with me.
there actually that you kind of need to break down,
Okay.
but maybe name some games where this is normally something that you have to think about.
Let's say math game like Kingdoms by Rainier Nizia. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, there's a term there. It says orthogonally adjacent, which basically means the word adjacent should be with this term. Okay, so it basically means up, down, left, or right, and not diagonal. But
Yeah.
it should be adjacent to wherever your token or your player is. It comes from the original word orthogonal, which means composed of right angles. So if it's not right angles, up, down, left, right, usually it's not orthogonal. So there you go. Orthogonally adjacent.
Yes.
All
A
right.
pawn
There.
moves somewhat orthogonally
Adjacent, yeah.
adjacent, except it doesn't know how to go back.
Taking you back to geometry.
Geometry, math. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, we just lost like four participants.
For those of you who are still on, I encourage you please to comment with any other terminologies that you might want clarified. That
Yes.
we will gladly. We have prepared terminologies to discuss, but we can set that aside and answer your questions. So the
For
comments
example,
are open.
here we go. And
There we
ako,
go.
right angles teacher.
All
90
right.
degrees, boy.
90 degrees. Should I mention
You
what
need your
degrees
compass
is?
and protractor.
Thank you, college student. All right.
All right.
On to you, Javi. All
All
right.
right,
you
I'm
have
going to
you.
go with something that is just less um, serious, worthy, mathy. I don't know. I'm going to go with one term that a lot of people hear and probably do not know where it comes from, and that
Mm.
is the term fiddly. So,
Fiddly.
last episode, I did mulligan, which again is something that people have just accepted and know what it means, but have no idea where it comes from. So, the
Isn't it
terminology I
like a
wanted
drinking
to.
place?
Huh? What, fiddly?
No,
Yes.
mulligan.
Mulligan, isn't that
No,
in BF?
well, that is the name of a bar. Yes, there is
Yes.
mulligans. Sure, it's
Okay,
a
so sorry,
sports
Abby,
bar.
go ahead.
Anyways, go ahead.
Going back to Fiddly.
So, the concept or the term fiddly pertains to a fiddle, a musical instrument similar to a violin. Okay,
Mhm.
Right.
now it has a very slender neck and multiple strings, and it does run. It does you manage it just like you would maybe a violin, but it is
Mhm.
a very complicated instrument. So games, when you say that they are fiddly, means that if you do try to navigate and run it, there's so many moving components and things that if you do not have any experience in it, it's going to be a terrible experience. So much like a fiddle, if you do not know how to play it at all, you're going to be making some noise that might be reminiscent of like a cat in a blender. So
But nowadays,
Oh
I
man,
think
the imagery
Fiddly
in my head.
also pertain to games, at least in from the designer's perspective, where the design of like the human movement is not as ergonomic, as not as smooth, that you the game sort of devolves if people are
yeah,
not very organized because there's like maybe too many things that you need to arrange in a pile, or too many components that you gotta move around,
yep.
and
The,
even the
the
rules are
term
sometimes.
itself has really evolved. Like when you say fiddly, most people are pertaining to so many moving parts that there's so many components,
Yeah.
and that your hands get everywhere.
Yeah.
So when you are looking at a small, delicate musical instrument that you have so many things that you have to be doing right in order to play it properly. So that's why it translated into it's cumbersome, or
Right.
that it's just it's too precise in a way that if you are not paying attention to everything, you're gonna make a mess.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like,
Yep.
okay, there is a guitar, there is a violin. They put something in the middle which just combines this stuff and can be a horrible mess. Sort of like what a banjo is.
Sorta.
All right.
Is there
So
an
there,
opposite word for fiddly?
empty.
Ergonomic.
This game is empty.
Ergonomic.
Nothing.
Nothing to touch.
It's
No,
it's
no
smooth
pieces. The
sailing.
game is one piece.
The game is a slick.
Yeah, slick.
Yeah.
Ergonomic.
So actually, normally you think they say, uh, "Hey Jake." I think
Oh,
they
why did
normally
they
say the
Michael,
game
how are
stay
you?
plays smoothly. So
play
it's very
smoothly?
smooth because smooth gameplay meaning there's no resistance, there's no deterrence to just getting your turn and everything. It just flows. I think it's also the term they use. Everything just flows well. Uh,
Awesome. Well, there, just like last episode, I decided to go with the etymology of a word that is
cool.
used in the gaming community. So I hope you guys learned a little bit more about the stupidly weird terms we use.
Okay.
It may
Uh,
sound funny, but it's real.
and okay, so my turn. I would be talking about the term, which probably most people know, but we normally relate this to the gamers in general. We call it core gamers or core
Mm.
market. Core games or core market. I'll explain also the opposite later on. But think of it that if you are,
You forget, sir, the third level, the hardcore.
yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. So basically, I think we did an
Yeah.
episode. I think I did an episode about this in the past, many decades ago, uh, or months. But basically, when we talk about our hobby, and we have our different Facebook groups, our YouTube channels that we're following. Most of the time, the people that are tuning in, the people that are currently here at the moment, we are more likely in the core market or in the core group. It's basically all of the gamers that are already very into the hobby, or at least they have not only have they been introduced, but they have played quite a few games and already buying and already checking out different things, and just like now trying to learn more about the hobby. You would be already somewhat a captured market, or at least you're an audience already of the hobby, and that's the term core gamer. Have you did mention a few more levels where you kind of go up? I think
Yep.
Paula,
Denmark actually shared a video the
yes,
other day that
Paula
would,
Denning
yeah,
did
would pretty much explain just how deep into it you can get.
and she has not explained the branches yet. So you
The
start from a
Matrix.
newbie, to or the inundated, or somebody who says, "Oh, this game," and you start getting into the hobby core market, or hardcore gamers, or you can say board game connoisseurs. So, but anyway, the
Yes.
whole thing, the whole genre, or at least market segment, where it's the captured market or people who are very much interested in board games, we're called core gamers, or at least we're the core market, where they know that if they release some news about you know transformer deck building game, if they just release that outside and it's not the core market, nobody will kind of get what's going on. But to us, like, oh, transformers, oh, scope, oh, we don't have decepticons, because we kind of understand the lingo. So that is my turn. Core
Yes, I would
gamers or
like to
core
add
market?
Core gamers, yeah.
another term that I will just like to mix into that, just to explain how bad it can get. I would like to consider myself cardcore.
Yes,
You
you
want
are
hardcore?
hardcore.
Cardcore. Okay, never mind.
Hardcore.
Forget it. I'm okay. I won't mention anything else. Yeah, sure. Yes, Avi.
All right, let's
Cardcore.
move on
Did we just
to
invent
term
that?
number two, Keo.
Yeah, I just thought of it. I
Okay.
am officially hardcore.
I just want to shout out to Morgan for that plus 10 intelligence. Thank you. I
Yes.
feel smarter already.
Yes. Wag lang tayo mauulanan. Most Filipinos lose some on traffic. Basta umulan. Anyway, sorry for that. Never mind. Go back
People are
here.
leaving their homes, sir. Badly timed.
-2 charisma. Okay,
Yes.
there you go. Okay, here's a term. Could we like not? All right. Okay. I'm sure some of you guys have heard your friends maybe call you something like, and I repeat, cult of the new. Some
Mm.
people might have an idea. What are you
One
what are you
of
saying?
us. One
Diba?
of
Cult of the new. What
us.
does that mean?
One of us.
That may be so. Yes, one of
Mm.
us. And who is this us we're talking about? The cult of the new basically says something about people who feel the need to seek out. Wow, the word seek and to buy. I'm looking at the KS people. All of the hot new games that are somewhat releasing, or at least gonna be released eventually. So they believe. I technically, generally, they're the people who should who should have the latest games. May they
Yeah,
like it or not, but
I think that touches a term that Denmark also likes to explain and use a lot, which is FOMO.
yeah, you
Well,
FOMOs. Yeah,
I think you can. Cult of the New. I think you can kind of expand it also with, of course, people are interested about what's new.
true.
Most um, most reviewers, for example, in YouTube and in social media, would be talking about new games, um, because it just generates more buzz. People are more um, interested in whatever is new,
Yeah,
and as a lesser sort of segment are people who are actually seeking out the unique ones, the ones that are done in the past, but are, I don't know if you guys remember, there was this segment in Board Game Breakfast where one of the presenters was presenting something that's like an ancient, not really ancient, like 70s, 60s, 80s games, just so sort of combat the cult of the new.
yeah. I would say that I don't really have anything against it. I think that a lot of people, will try a game out. They like it. That they want to experience more of it. And so when new titles come out, like, oh, there's a new deck builder, I want it. I mean, even from the news we heard a while ago, we're excited about new things entering the market. But at the same time, recognizing that there are some evergreens and great classics that you really should try once. I mean, there are people who keep buying games and sometimes don't even open them, hence the shelf of shame terminology, or that they do get to play it once or twice and then they just stop playing it and they move on to the next.
Right.
They may still
Ouch.
be trying to find what they may be trying to find what games they like. So I don't blame them chasing the next new title.
That's
But
true.
when it becomes more of that, oh, you're not playing the new games, and then there is an opinion drawn from that, they're like, oh, come on.
But Keo, do you want
Uh,
to add to your description of cult of the new?
well, it kind of hurts some people knowing that maybe if you're a noob or a newbie here in the hobby, and then all your choices are just the new ones, and then someone says, "Oh, you're called the new." My advice: you tell them, "Oh, you're that old." Then people will be like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry."
Did you play board games when they were chiseled in stone?
Chiseled and stone using hand marks.
No. So
Anyways,
Board games on cave drawings.
actually, be proud if someone calls you called the new. It just shows that you're updated. You're updated. You're in the know,
Yeah.
and yeah, you know what you're getting into,
Yeah, and
right?
I think it's not necessarily that you are interested in what's new, that you actually have to buy into it.
True,
I
true.
follow every possible Kickstarter. I would even, think about like, oh, should I fund? No, I'm just gonna follow for now. But I'm updated. Like I
Yeah,
know pretty much all
Exactly.
because it's
Yeah.
a fun thing. But that doesn't mean that you have to spend on it right away. Right? You kind of also want to test what is new. Sometimes the hype is. I think I mentioned this in one of our chats where sometimes the hype kind of influences your buying decision, and you kind of need to step back just a little bit just to verify. Am I really okay with there's only one hero and it's a solo game, and I have to buy another
For twenty
pledge
dollars.
for another version of heroes like that, and so
but
stuff
also
like that.
just putting out a straight argument that if everyone only played old games, what would be the point of making new ones?
That's
So,
true.
the fact that new ones are coming out and people are supporting that market means that there is room for more games to be produced, innovation and changes, improvements. Okay, so I don't think it should be looked at in any derogatory way. I guess
Yeah,
this is more for the purposes of just explaining what the expression "cult of the new" means.
yes,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
again, cult of the what did we say? Cult of the
Old
classics or cult of the old? I also think there's
Dinosaurs.
so many games
dinosaurs.
that have been
Dinosaurs.
overlooked that are so good. It's
Oh
just that
yeah,
there's
man.
too many games.
Yeah.
So I also am a firm believer of the ones who are seeking like the really unique stuff and sort of bringing it up to people. So I think wherever you are in the what you found, please do share it. That's kind of how it works, and that's how this hobby works. And yeah,
That's how
like
people
what
discover new
Ronnie
things
said
too.
in Paula Denning's show as well, the shelf of shame is more better termed as the shelf of opportunity.
All right, there you
We
go.
do have before we go to you, Javi, there is a question here.
Sure.
Sakto wanted to know about the puzzle thing. I thought it's part of the board games. Maybe a good topic, maybe. So I think they're asking if puzzles are games.
They are games. It's
I think
it,
the I think there's there's
look,
um
a
there's a funny
A
trivia
fine
game
line.
show is a game, and it's just questions. You don't even have anything tangible.
yeah,
Okay,
I
this
think
is that you are trying to solve something and complete a task. You can also consider it a task, sure. I mean, take it from someone who does not like the mind. You can always argue that it isn't really a game.
the
So
mind
maybe
is not a game, it's an activity, as what you've
it's a
mentioned
So
waste of
many
time.
times.
But again,
waste.
that's for a different episode. But a puzzle is a game. It actually is one of maybe the original board games, literally being made out of cardboard.
I think the and for example, like one of the popular publishers of board games is a key publisher of puzzles. So Ravensburger is a publisher of both board games and puzzles, but they do kind of say it separately. Don't. I've gone to a puzzle store. I don't see a Ravensburger board game being sold in that store that sells Ravensburger games. So I think there's some distinction, but I also agree with the fact that puzzles are like board games that are solo or could be co-op that has implied rules.
Right. I guess the whole fact that there are no rules like objectives and
There is an
turn
objective.
orders and
You
stuff.
gotta you want to finish it.
I
There's
mean,
a picture.
a puzzle doesn't necessarily come with a rule book, so that's why it might be argued that it doesn't have
Yes,
the same structure of a board game. But it is a game. You are using it to pass the
it's a
time.
mental exercise.
Right.
I've heard this term
It's an
before.
activity.
Well,
So
okay, knitting is
Oh
an
man.
activity and you can pass time with it, and I don't know if I would ever consider knitting a game. But okay, a puzzle it is a game. It is designed to be done that way. So I don't know, just maybe
yeah,
because there's no
it's
take
always
that
been
mechanic. I like being the traitor when I make puzzles. Like I'll take a piece and just leave.
Now that's why it
Oh,
makes
you're
sense
that
that it's a
guy,
game
huh?
too.
You're that guy. Like,
The
oh,
one who
3,000
hides it.
pieces. I'll get this one in the middle. I'll do the all black one. There you go.
Good luck.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Okay, so going back, Abby, your turn.
I like that question, so thank you. Okay,
Thank you for the question.
I'm gonna jump now to board game mechanisms. So I'm okay with the terminology a while ago. So I'm gonna talk about a rondel. So for several game titles that come to mind, you will encounter a mechanism called a rondel. So what it pretty much is that it is a circle. The literal like translation to it would be a wheel or a circle, and it applies to certain board games in a way that you have a wheel of actions to take. You have a wheel of like a market or resources that, as you play the game, um, the wheel itself either moves or adjusts based on the decisions that you make. So think of it like if you are looking at a clock. A clock might be considered a rondel for the purposes of a game mechanic that when you take an action, it advances a certain number of hours. So then you see its impact to how the game progresses. There are a couple of games that come to mind, like Crusaders Thy Will Be Done. Your game comes with wedges that indicate your actions. Altogether, it forms a wheel, which is a rondel. When you take a certain action, you move your action points in a clockwise manner around the wheel. So that is specific to that kind of game. And so some examples or things that I'd like to bring up, let's say Glass Road, the resources of the game are the rondel. When you buy or spend a certain resource, the whole thing shifts, changing the cost of each item or resource. In Her Majesty's Service, one of Denmark's favorite games, so it is still arguable to be a rondel because when you take an action, the whole game rotates, changing the costs of certain spaces and actions. So it still uses a wheel.
Isn't
Craftwagon, your game.
yes.
So Craftwagon also does use a market, or like sort of like a stock market that runs on a wheel. That as you are buying certain resources, you are affecting the overall market for everyone else. And
Isn't
last one,
that
I didn't get to
time?
play it, but it's another good example: the Great Western Trail.
Yeah.
Oh, that game. Okay.
To add to that, I think the Tiny Epic Pirates is using a rondel as well.
Ah,
It
nice.
does?
So
Oh.
the idea is that you have your captain and you want to move the captain to sort of the command to your ship that you want to do. But if you want to skip over certain steps, you have to put your crew on it to sort of be able to skip over those steps and then do the action that you want to do. So that's what's unique with Tiny Epic
Okay, well,
Pirates.
something to look forward to.
Nice.
I was waiting for a pirate Tiny Epic game. I might actually play a Tiny Epic game now. Yay!
Hey,
Pirates.
you have played
Yar.
Tiny Epic
Yeah,
Galaxies. That's how we
galaxies and
met.
zombies. I
And
know.
zombies.
I might finally really find one that I do like that has pirates. Well,
It is
next
very
Tiny
interesting.
Epic Vikings, please. Imagine these little guys with horns.
Little guys with horns. Okay.
All
All
right,
right.
so
Okay.
I hope you all learned about what a rondel is. All right, next.
Rondell.
And
Yeah,
it
transition
came
from rondel
from
to
a
rondel.
designer's name, right? Isn't it?
No, it's not really. There is a designer that made it famous by sort of bringing in the mechanic. But wait, let me see if I can find his name here really quick.
First name Ron, last name Del. What?
No, here. No. The rondel is most famously used by designer Matt Gertz.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, it's
Cool,
not
cool.
named after him, but I think he was one of the first people to implement it. It
Okay.
literally translates to wheel or circle.
And the classic one
Yeah, there,
of all
Balgana.
is Mancala.
Hmm.
Yes. Songka,
Kala.
if you guys are not familiar.
Or Sungka.
Alrighty.
Yes.
So my terminology is I'm gonna go back with the core market just a while ago. And so what is outside the core market. So if you have the core market, which is sort of like the inner circle, where people are very much interested in the board games, the ones who are not that familiar or maybe are they normally look at games as, and whenever you present to them a game and they go, oh, is it like Monopoly? They're basically the mass market or everybody else who's just see mass market games, and those are games that are produced, for many centuries already. Chess is to a certain degree a mass market game, although like hard, professional chess players, Go players, you kind of see them in a very different light because they've also taken that game all the way towards expertise in the science of it, and to the point where you have AI engines being built and sort of benchmarked as sentience, or not really
Well,
sentience, but like levels
well,
of
the mass
intelligence.
market is probably using the chess game as a checker game.
Maybe. Or at least
But
it's if you guys remember back in when
the
you were
tricycle driver
kids, the
Sam here,
25
yeah.
pesos magnet
Yeah.
chess,
Oh yeah, the snakes and ladders one with the
the
really
snake and ladders
flimsy
one. So
minis. Yeah,
examples of mass
magnets.
market games: snakes and ladders, um,
Chinese checkers.
Chinese checkers. You got your Ludo,
Ludo.
Yeah.
Yes,
right?
Okay.
Ludo.
So a lot of times, most of the mass market board games
Game of
have
life.
Game of Life, very simplistic mechanics. And yeah, thank you. So Uno is what you could consider as a mass
Yeah,
market game.
Yes. Along with
yeah.
Jenga.
And
Jenga,
DOS.
DOS, which is like the sequel to Uno.
Oh no, it's not that mass market yet.
Really? Not yet.
Well, I'm waiting for like them to complete the trilogy with Tress.
But there's a series now on Netflix.
That's
Yeah.
13, not 3.
Oh, okay.
you add you Badum.
Good job, bro.
Sorry guys.
We're ending the episode now.
Epic fail. Trust, eh?
Se? Si.
Yes, me.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Because I thought the English speakers would have had a bit more Latino style of speaking. So, okay, going back. So, yes, mass market games. And I think the big distinction from core market to mass market, and most people would be just looking at games, and the ones who have never got to experience modern board games or core market games, their perspective of board games would more likely be Monopoly. Like, so when you say, "Oh, I'm a board game designer," in their head they're probably going, "Oh, you made another
Well, yeah, it's the
Monopoly variant."
closest thing that they can associate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just don't be shocked when people are not familiar with Catan, or because even if Catan is already quite popular in geek culture, and sort of you can see them on TV already in some sitcoms, it's still not mass market level. You still won't be able to see BTS,
Well, it depends on
Monopoly.
the market because you talked about like how in Germany that they're like board games in their convenience stores.
Yes, but it is,
Yes.
and I thought that to the level of Azul, for example, where I really saw it. Here's a bookstore where kids are just buying pencils and crayons, and Azul. That's the layout. Like you're going like, really? There's board games being sold here. Here's uh cereals and chocolate and
As-
pretzels.
and Azul.
Azul.
Azul, there you go.
It's like,
Azul.
Complete the set. You call that a Friday night.
yeah.
Cereal and Azul.
But to just prove my point that when you say it's still a core market game, people that I worked with there, when I asked them, oh, so Azul won the Spiel des Jahres, they have no clue. So still, most people who are not in the core market, even if Azul and the next game of the year would be winning, and everyone really thinks it's gonna be the Where's Waldo game. Um,
Mm.
it is still not reaching everyone, and the popularity, it's still there's still a very different segment. There's a lot of
You
people in the world,
know
so don't
why?
be surprised when people are not familiar with our core market games. That is
You just
perfectly
need to
fine.
put an old guy with a monocle, and people will find it.
So it is an opportunity for us to be able to know, oh, so you're familiar with Monopoly. Here's a game that also uses paper money, but we're powering up power stations in cities. Do you have three
Ah,
hours
yes.
Wow, that's plays shorter than
3 hours.
Monopoly.
I like that. Got three
Alrighty.
It
hours.
has a definite end.
Yeah. It ends after 3 hours. All right, Kyo,
All right.
third one.
Thank you. Mass market. So here's mine. It's a simple term, but I'm sure some people have heard this always, and not everyone knows that this term
Co-
exists.
Collectible.
Oh, what's the keyword for that? Collect. Anyways, it's called filler games. Okay, believe it or
Okay,
not,
Oh,
okay.
a lot of people don't understand what filler games are.
I thought about doing this. Good job. Good job.
All
Go,
right,
go, go.
filler games. Now, in the most layman's term, it's a short game. Now, to define what short is, I guess in the mass market, it's usually around 30 minutes or less or faster. I don't know, depends. But if it's beyond 30 minutes or an hour,
Yeah, yeah,
it's not
no.
exactly a
So
filler, you know.
yeah, go ahead, Kim. I'm
Uh,
gonna add
You're
after.
you're supposed to be filling in the gaps between playing bigger, harder, heavier games, correct? That's why it's called filler games. So a good example of this would be Love Letter. Love Letter is pretty
Right.
fast. There you go. What else? What else is a good fast game?
Are you smarter than a box of rocks?
There you go. Box of Rocks that even exists. Wow. And
Yes,
any
we
game
played it.
worth around. Oh, so did you win? Did you? You're smarter than the Box
Well,
of
not
Rocks.
all the time. The rocks still
Exploding
beat us.
exploding kittens would be considered a
Yeah, there
filler.
you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a definite time limit to these things. If it goes beyond 30 minutes, that ain't a filler.
Yeah.
Unless you guys it takes 15 minutes for you to understand a rule book, yeah, then sure, why not?
Oh yeah, they're crossing. Right.
Crossing,
That's
Yeah,
point game,
crossing the
especially the
point game.
local Philippine rules made by DJ.
yeah. The
Hey,
whole
shout out.
concept of a filler game is that it is supposed to fill in time. I mean, if you're waiting for another player so that you have a full four-player game, let's say if you're playing a campaign, that's a legacy game you're not complete and you want to do something to pass the time while waiting for this party, or in between games people need to eat, use the restroom or something, and there are other people that don't. That's where the fillers come in. The idea
Yeah,
is that you can still keep gaming for shorter periods of time at this and less complex game. Actually, most of them might be considered micro games, and Ron is the lord of the three-letter games that can play in under 30 minutes. So,
not all of them. I have one that is like, what? This is a euro. What are you doing? How dare you?
It's a micro euro, eh? Not
Yeah,
bad.
it's not a micro. It's like it's those Paco
yeah,
games.
the gum games that they only
Oh,
have three
the one with the thin
letters.
Yeah,
boxes.
yeah.
Oh
I
man.
have one that is pretty much a rondel game of like resource management. It's like when I explain it to people, this game is trying to do something way beyond than what it's supposed to. Right. So if you want to learn, it's very pretentious. But anyway, going back to fillers, I think the way they kind of measure it is basically the takedown and setup of the next game. Your filler game should be able to fit in between that. That's
Yeah.
why it's fit. So
Usually
that's
Oh
they're
my
yeah,
cards. Usually there's cards.
yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Or my favorite Kia from the one that you have, the one in the with
The
the
oh yeah
chest.
the liar's game. What do you call that?
Dead
Um,
man's
Dead Man's Chest. There you go.
there you go.
Dead
Dead man's
Man's
chest.
Chest. There you go. We should play that more often. You know.
Ah,
You bunch of liars.
so
Okay.
so there's also the term banlao, or like when you sort of palate cleanse.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
right
Uh,
there. And you take on a much different theme, something simpler. You just like,
yep.
okay, we spent like an hour and a half killing zombies that I would just like to point at things and
Or
collect
doing
gems.
financial accounting and tallying
Uh,
up books
Your
in
tax.
a
Yeah. Do your taxes. Yeah.
doing taxes and loans in acrony. Anachrony, I mean.
In between bigger games, right?
Right, right, right. Yes, yes. All right.
TI4. Okay.
Cool.
All right, so I'm
You
gonna
good
go
with
through
that,
my
Kira?
last one for tonight. So this is it's technically terminologies, but I'm gonna be running through two of them for just to clarify how people might understand them. So I'm gonna be talking about the difference between a round and a turn.
Mm,
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm,
yes.
mm.
So
Please
Sai,
do. Please do.
this might be
Designers who
this
are
might
listening,
be
or aspiring
confusing.
designers.
So certain games are designed that players take their turns, or that let's say you all collectively take your turn together cooperatively. So a turn would be a individual player or a group, completing the number of actions and choices that they can make. Once every player has taken their turn, so ends a round. So it is a sequence of turns that would be a round. So this is like singular to plural almost, that before a new round of turns happens. So there are a little bit of confusion based on how the wording of certain games are, that people might not understand. Like, wait, when is it my turn? Like, no, there are no turns. Like, we all go at one time, and then the enemy gets its turn or its phase. So the terminologies of like phases, turns, rounds can definitely be confusing,
Right.
especially for those that do not read enough rule books. Like, they're not the ones that usually teach the games. So just to put that to rest, a turn is your individual turn, or pretty much dictated by the rules of like how many player actions get to happen. Once it concludes and you start over, that would be the end of a round.
Right. So normally, like if you sort of look at sizes, so in your turn, you'll have steps after everyone or your group has taken a turn, and then the other, if it's a co-op, maybe the opposing virtual player or the game will take their turn, and then once everyone in the game has taken their turn, that will be the round. And sometimes, to add to that complexity, there after certain rounds would be a phase, like a new phase of the game where it changes from one phase to another. But phase and step in some games they would flip it, so
Mm-hmm.
it's annoying.
That's
Yeah,
another
about that,
But
it
interchangeable.
is a little deeper. That is a way of how they group steps in
right,
phase.
yes, 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 I know. Cool.
You know how I actually understood this without even ever needing an explanation?
How?
Drinking. There are a round of shots. Okay, you will not get another round until everyone has had theirs.
Has
Until
had their
everyone has
turn.
had their turn.
Their
There
shot.
you go.
Until everyone has had their
Nice one,
shot,
Ron.
you're not
Exactly.
getting another round.
Yes, it's the Filipino tagay system.
Tagay system, yeah.
Yes,
No one skips
It is your
a,
turn.
yeah, the one
if
that won't happen because of the pandemic ever again.
yeah.
Yeah, I know.
If
All
you're
right.
kung fu, patay ka.
All right. So there is a question here. Uh, so maybe I'll skip over before I go to Morgan's question. So Jake mentions the round things becomes wonky when there is no set player
Right.
order.
That's right. It
Yes.
depends really how it is explained by the rules of a game. Let's just say, for example, Greedy Greedy Goblins, that a round consists of players choosing tiles with one hand and playing them into mines. the round ends when there is no more tiles. But there is nothing about player turns because you're doing this simultaneously.
Yeah.
So it can be confusing. So
Yeah.
instead, the round is more of just like a complete sequence before you refresh and start over.
Right, right. So in this case, for example, in Everdell, I think it's kind of similar where you all take your turns, but you could sort of pass ahead and actually end your round already, and then move on to your next round or your next phase in the game. Dune Imperium kind of does something similar where I could be taking turns or end my round and basically move on to my next round. But I still have to wait for everyone though. So there is truth to that. That it can be confusing. It is something flexible. Just know that when you are learning this new game, try to ask for that distinction. What do we mean in this game by turns? What do we mean in this game by rounds? And I think that would give you a better understanding. The added question here is, what is the difference between tactics and strategy?
That's a very good
Ooh,
question.
All right.
very good.
Okay, do you want to have a stab at it? And then maybe
Let's
let's
stab
add
it.
to it?
Okay, let's try to stab it. Okay, tactics versus strategy. For me, that would. This is my personal opinion. I won't go into semantics. Tactics would be your moves on the game rather than a strategy, which is a overall idea of what you want to happen, and you have a
Right.
certain goal already in your game. So if
Right.
you're moving your pawns and your bishops and your knights, that's your tactics. But if you are moving them in a certain manner to the point that this is your strategy, you want to do this particular play and force him to a corner, then that's a strategy. So I guess that's correct. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
my
yeah.
my definition is very simple. Very similar. I mean, strategy is like your overall. Okay, yeah. It's really your planning and from start to end. While tactical is really more on like a situation that you're currently in. It's at the moment. While a strategy is an overall and like long term look at where you want to end up. So
Yeah. I think the
it.
operative word
Sorry, go ahead.
for strategy is the long-term plan, and tactical is basically like what you said. It is your reaction to how the field has changed, and then how you will adapt to that. That is tactics, but it's always being guided by your overall strategy, because like, oh, okay, we want to address this, but here's still my goal. And if in a situation where you're just all tactics, sometimes it doesn't turn out well because you don't have a good strategy.
Yeah.
And if it's just all strategy and you're not dealing with your tactics, then sometimes you also lose because you don't deal with what's in front of you. I
Yep.
think,
Like one immediate example with that would be, let's say, if you keep pushing forward, just because, but you actually keep leaving also what you have already conquered behind. So
right,
you are addressing something immediately in front of you, but at the end of it, what did you accomplish? Like you left everything else like unguarded. It could have just been taken over. So your strategy would have failed.
right.
There, okay, actually, very good point. Jake makes a good point that okay, the war, yes, it's the overall, while a single battle might be the tactics. So a single occurrence to the overall, like sum of occurrences.
Yeah. So Jake says, my own personal view on strategy is what you plan to execute over the course or majority of the game, and tactics more the on the fly response. So
Yeah,
you use tactics
Yeah.
exactly to if you have good tactics, you're able to react and adapt to what's the battle is always changing. That's why they call it the fog of war. You don't know how your opponents are going to react, what are they going to do. So your tactics will help you address that, but you always need to have a good strategy in the end, because that is how you will win the game.
I agree with Jake. His
Yeah.
his thought and mine are pretty much just parallel. So
All
Exactly.
right.
And the syllables, tactics, strategy. Anyways, going on.
what
Sige. Parang 13 lang
Sige.
din yan eh.
Parang 13 lang yan.
you ain't getting back from that. Sorry, sir.
Okay. So my last one is actually kind of related. So I had a theme in my uh, board game terms, and I don't hear this as often nowadays because the industry changed a little bit, where we don't see as much cafes, as much tabletop or board gaming cafes. But back when that's the main sort of trend, there was this term that we normally don't like in variable play we avoid uh, that they call us, which is tabletop gurus or board game gurus. So it's kind of like your inner circle, like the experts of board gaming, and um, it's pretty much that. That's the point of the term. It's basically somebody who can teach you games, somebody who can you can come up to and ask, hey, among this store, what can you recommend? And the guru, kind of like the gurus in an Apple store or in a mobile store, laptop. Where
Why use that as an example?
I know. It doesn't. That's why.
I would like to rename the role now as a cardboard Sherpa.
So, but the what I so with gurus, basically the idea is like you're the most familiar with the hobby or the genre. You ideally people are expecting that you can recommend as many games needed. Oh, I prefer to have a worker placement that plays under 30 minutes, and it's not about farming. Like as a board gaming guru, you can list down like recommendations, kind of. Um,
I just thought of
so
something hilarious out of that. I just want one day to be like sitting in a table in a restaurant. And people will just come up to me like, there are four of us. Two of them do not know anything about gaming, and they hate fighting. And then you're like, you just name them a game. Like, all right, it's like, that is your job. You sit there and you just wait for people to like name me a
like
game that
like
plays
give
in
you
an
specs,
hour.
right? You're like the board gaming search engine. um,
Oh, that's such high expectations from that way. That's such a high expectations.
so
Google
what
for board games. Oh my goodness.
Google with like advanced search. So we used a different term when we started our game nights and when we started our content, where we sort of made a pivot and we said, oh, we want to be tabletop advocates instead. And the reason why we preferred that over board game gurus is that you could be new in the hobby, but you like board games and you want to share it with people. Guess what? You are an advocate already because you would
Right,
be
that's
able to
right.
share,
There's no pretentious level of knowledge.
like,
There are a lot of games
oh,
that I have
Ron,
yet to
your
play.
shelf your shelf looks good, but it doesn't have a war game on it. Like you don't have that sort of like filter system of. And again, no problem about war games. I love war games, but you as an advocate, you are more inclusive about what is
I had like
and
an
what people
immediate
can try.
snap defense response, but it's not appropriate for the show.
We'll
I
wait for
know.
after the show.
That's why I had to throw in the context right away. Um, but and I think if it is more useful as a term to be a tabletop advocate in the early days, even we had volunteer calling cards, and it would say tabletop advocate. Um, and I think even the new IDs that we give out during our convention. So hopefully
Uh,
that happens
I
soon.
I play games.
Yes. So it is a
Different,
little
a
bit
lot of
different
questions here. Yeah.
from the game master,
Yeah,
although
there's a
I've
game
noticed
master.
that people do
Mm.
sort of connect game guru and game master as well. I think game master more often than not is like somebody who's managing the experience. In essence, that's kind of a guru in a cafe. But I think the guru is really the idea is that you're the most knowledgeable person in the store or in the vicinity that people can ask questions to. The idea of advocates is that you can all be very new to the hobby and like
Yeah.
guys, Google lang natin, di ba? what board game can we play that's four players? Actually, board
Yeah.
game geek, you can actually filter. There's an advanced search.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there might even be other ways that you can look at it, like curators, or sort of like
right.
how
Yes.
librarians
Yes.
are. That
I've seen
That's
people
correct.
also use the term curators. All of those are good. But I think as a
Guidance
hobby in
counselors.
general, advocates kind of include more people in it. And you could be a little bit more experienced you could ask like, oh, how many years have you been an advocate? I've been doing this for the past 10 years, whatever. So that means that you would probably have more experiences. But that doesn't necessarily mean you've seen and played every game. This new person might be coming in with a game that you haven't seen before. They just happen to chance upon it, and now you get to experience it as well. Um, Clint also asked, what is the difference between GM and DM? I think, well, if it's in the context of role playing games, that is pretty much the same.
Yeah,
Yep.
it just might
Exactly.
be a different in terms of terminology. Like a dungeon master is really for Dungeons and Dragons. Now,
Right.
if you're playing a different RPG game that has no medieval settings, that we're in space and you're a dungeon master, it probably doesn't make any thematic sense. Hence, a game master.
I
Correct.
was thinking Agricola. Hey, you're the dungeon master. What do you? I lock up my sheep.
Well, in the game Panamax, you play as GMs, but those are general managers.
Yeah, so, well, look
General
at the game like
managers. There you
Descent.
go.
The game Descent has more of the overlord system
Right.
instead of a dungeon master. So it's just it's just a variation to the terminology, but you
Mhm.
do have a set of responsibilities for running the game.
Yes. So there you have it. I hope that those were a few terms that we always normally use. Dungeon managers.
Oh yeah, we make sure that the
Oh,
dungeon is complete at
that
this
is a
time.
euro that is coming soon, sir. Dungeon managers.
Isn't
With
isn't
$5
that
blocks.
isn't that like boss monster or something?
No,
Like you manage the dungeon that
no, but
the
you are the boss monster.
right, right.
And you're just like choosing rooms. But imagine having to hire your minions, the traps.
Dungeon keeper.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
There you
dungeon
go.
keeper?
Hey.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
you have
vast.
to get
Isn't vast have
contractors to dig a moat around your castle. I'm sure it can't be easy.
oh I like this. So game enthusiast and oops.
Dungeon lords.
Dungeon nerds.
And that's another
Board game
game mode.
enthusiasts. Okay, so yes, pretty much this is what we're saying. Advocates and enthusiasts. I think those are good synonyms. Where
Yes.
you're basically, and I think one of the so we got the Philippine big forums, Philippine board game enthusiasts, and Philippine game traders. Those are at least the ones that tabletop gateway, Philippines, PH. So I think those are filled with enthusiasts. Like we are all enthusiasts. We are all
Yes.
advocates. I think as the I the only difference I think it's very small is that as an enthusiast you're a fan of the game. As an advocate you're sharing this
Yeah, you're
fan.
more of a promoter, so to
Yeah,
speak.
you're promoting this now. Like, oh, I like this experience and I want to share it to more people.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's just a slight difference of being interested in something and sharing your interest in something.
Yeah. Sharing your immediate knowledge of it. You don't have to be a master about it.
Yep.
Which brings me to a point that if you say game master, here's my personal opinion, okay? There's a lot of pressure when you call someone a master, a game
or
master,
guru. It's
or guru. It's
like,
oh, you
are
don't
you
know this particular
familiar
part?
Yeah,
with the
there's some expectations when you use
Yeah, there you
terms like
go.
that.
I mean, it sounds nice. It's flattering to veterans, but the expectations is pretty high. Like if you miss a small detail, and then someone points out in the rule book, "Hey, look! It says here in the rule book that you're supposed to do this," and you're like, "Ooh, I forgot about that." It's been
Yeah,
a long time since
me
I
from
played.
personal experience that like from my cousins, like in our game group, I'm the one who always brings the board game and so like, oh, the game master. And like in the middle of a game or something, it's just like, hey, wait, you didn't explain this properly. It's like I never ever said I am an expert or a master, sir. That
Yeah,
you
I
labeled
also get
that.
that, hobby.
The cringe, you know.
When you know, my friends outside of the hobby would sometimes, there we're in a party and go, hey Ron, bring out the game that we can play. Here, everybody listen, the game master's gonna explain. It's like,
Don't call me that.
You
okay,
count 1 to 5. 1, 2,
we're
3.
gonna play Wits and Wagers.
We're gonna play no thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Set a
They call
certain
master of
level of
ceremonies, master
expectation.
of
So like,
games.
looks like I can only teach you one game.
Yeah. We're gonna play Happy Salmon.
Scrabble.
All right. So before we extend another 30 minutes just explaining about this, thank you very
Very much,
much,
yeah.
everyone,
Thank you
for
for the
joining and having
contributions
fun
today.
just talking about this lovely hobby of ours. I hope you guys are staying safe at home. If for the ones who are already getting vaccinated, and thank you. I think it really helps. Just to I fortunately got already. I survived COVID, and at the same time got my first dose. So if you do get the chance, please help out. Uh, in the meantime, I hope everyone keeps safe and play more games. Play games online. Play games with family. Play solo games. Those are also very fun
Mhm.
activities, and even puzzles. If that's a game for you, that is also well acceptable.
And you know what? Just to point out, puzzles are also collectible.
And it's a restaurant too.
It was.
I have no opinion about that, but sure, why not?
All right,
Yeah.
let's go. But it
So,
is not free.
I hope that the terminologies that we shared today have, enlightened or at least cleared up some things for people. For those that contributed, we hope that we answered them as
So,
best as we could for you. And Denmark's not here to do his whole spiel, but definitely please like, share, subscribe. Again, catch us in the next episode. And Ko, any final words?
I'll just do my tabletop pros.
All right, man. Keep
do
gaming,
the do the
guys.
second angle. Do the second angle, then do the post.
Yeah, switch angles.
No, no, no.
The
The
We
other
just
angle.
said
angle.
that we're
The
not
other
going to do
angle.
another half hour.
Yeah. There, yeah.
Whoa. There you go. All right, set us off. Thank you, everyone.
Keep gaming,
Bye
guys.
now.
Till the next episode.
Hang on. Where's the video? There you go. Bye, guys.